What's up, everybody? Welcome to IGN Game Scoop. I'm your host, Damon Hatfield. Joining me this week is Justin Davis,
Scoop.
Brian Altano, Sam Claiborne.
Scoop, scoop.
We've got a great show for you this week. We're going to look ahead and talk about our most anticipated games.
You got a little flippy floaty up there.
Of the year. Yeah, flippy floaty. We're going to talk about, what else are we going to talk about? People who, or don't, finish games.
What's that look?
Is this an intervention?
Yeah.
Please tell me this. I need help with this.
First,
I'm not sure I've beaten a game in the last 3 years.
Wow.
That's not true. I beat The Witness.
Get out.
that's the whole point.
Can you beat The Witness?
But first, the big news of this week is, of course, the big Nintendo Switch reveal, which is yet to happen as of this recording. So we're actually not going to focus on that this week. We don't have that news yet. But in order to cover that, we're going to record Game Scoop early next week.
Scoop.
Because I feel like Nintendo Switch news is really just going to be coming in all throughout Friday and all over the weekend.
It'll be definitive.
So, yeah.
A new console. It still hasn't really sunk
in. A
in.
new Nintendo console, yeah. And, we're expecting new Zelda information, maybe new Mario. So early next week, after the dust is settled, we'll cover all that. But the other big news this week was Scalebound, big upcoming Xbox exclusive, has officially been canceled.
Yeah.
What's left now?
Well, they do have Halo Wars 2 coming next month.
I'm actually really excited about that game. Crackdown looks okay.
Yeah.
Well, but
I'm into Crackdown.
Crackdown also went dark.
Been dark for a long time. Doesn't have an official release.
Are you saying it might be canceled?
Date for that.
Don't say that.
There's a chance.
Yeah.
They do have Sea of Thieves. They're trying to push that.
Sea of
from Rare.
Thieves. That's not my type of game. I don't
Not my
think.
type.
I think it will be.
Really?
Yeah, I really think it will be. I think it's the kind of
You can
game.
play by yourself and explore a lot?
I don't know about that, but I think
exactly.
I think you'll actually. I don't know if there's much of that at all. But in the way of
there's
like, you'll probably get to play it with some people at IGN. You'll have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you played it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the best comment on this Scalebound cancel news on IGN this week comes from IGN user B Reckon, who said, "I guess due to the scale of the game, it was bound to get canceled."
Damn.
See, it has both words of the game title in it, scale and bound, but they're mixed up to make a phrase.
Scalebound.
Tell him, Sam. Get him.
It's a compound word. So my question to you three is: first of all, are you bummed that Scalebound is canceled?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to use the word scale and bound in your response.
Oh man, that's tough. No,
A game was bound to be canceled of a scale that size.
Wow. Of course I'm bummed. I think it's like this like Platinum makes awesome games. They've been working on this thing for a very long time, and it sucks to see something die. I think as somebody who went to art school, as somebody who's worked on like creative projects and stuff like that, the idea of working on something for so long and then it just going away is it bothers me.
Oh, it's just heartbreaking, right?
I think it's sort of like, so like David Bowie passes away and they're like, well, we found this EP worth of his stuff, we're going to put it out. An artist dies, they open up this door, there's a closet full of paintings, they put them in a gallery. A video game dies and it just goes away. Like you don't get to play the demo of it. Maybe somebody will leak a part of it. You have sites like
years from now.
Yeah, you might get like a little bit of. I remember there was like
E.T. will always
right?
live on Caleb Lawson's PS4 because he downloaded it.
I feel like there's a few features at IGN that just, for whatever reason didn't come together, never saw the light of day. And it's just so demoralizing, especially if I spent hours and hours on this thing nobody's ever going to see. Now multiply that by 100 people over 3 years.
Yep.
How much art and writing and music
and like
and everything else,
animation and
games don't get canceled for no reason. Obviously the project wasn't gelling together, but even
but that's like Microsoft could have easily made a chunk of money off this game.
Yeah.
They
just
can't.
Well, what?
They just they do that now. Like Microsoft pulls the plug on the
it's just like-
Fable, not Legends. The other one, was it Legends?
It was. I think that was someone. But yeah, so. They could have sold a lot of pre-orders. If they just sort of like held the game close to their vest, just showed a little bit of it to the media, enough to get people interested, and then hold back review copies. They could easily sell a million copies on day one. That's their $60 million in revenue. But they looked at it and said, it's not even worth that initial chunk of change.
I think they looked at The Last Guardian and they thought games with giant companions just aren't working.
Yeah.
That game took 10 years and something was difficult to make in that game. And I think it was the giant companion, which is the whole theme. But that's what Scalebound is too.
Well,
I mean, we're not there yet.
We forget a lot because games are toys, but we also forget that games are a business. And then at the end of the day, a company has to look at the bottom line and something like this. And I think there's probably no way to recoup. And if they had said, we need another year, another 2, they looked at the money on that and they said, no way. We'll never make that money
Maybe
back.
there's just too much nudity in it.
That could have
naked
been a
dragon.
problem.
I never saw any of those dragons wearing clothing.
No,
That's
they didn't
true.
even have pants.
Yeah.
And pants means trousers in the United States for our UK listeners.
That was actually why the game got
Not
delayed. They were
underwear.
trying to.
Nor
there's no-
are there UK pants.
Yeah, neither types of pants were on those dragons.
Yeah.
In the UK,
As far
they
as
call
we know,
underwear
we
pants.
didn't cancel the game.
But no, it bums me out. It bums me out like on an artistry level. The idea of, and then like people work late on things. Like you're just like you don't see your wife and your kids or your husband for like until 11:30 at night for 6 months, and you're in crunch. And then they're like the game's canceled.
Yeah.
Like I just hate.
It was all for nothing.
And they don't go like, oh, we're gonna take those wall textures and move them over here. We're gonna take this and remove them over there. It just goes away. Like
That's kind of unique to games, huh?
and a lot of
Because usually TV gets through
Yeah.
half of a season before it gets
Some of that stuff might end
Yeah.
up being reused in some future platinum project, but large
like,
chunks of it are just gone.
I was watching that show Vinyl, and it's not a great show, but HBO canceled it. And then they're like, find out what happens to Ricky or whatever his name is in the Vinyl motion comic available on our website.
It's a motion comic.
It's like some garbage like that, right? And it's
just to get the script out there.
yeah, it's a very sad, unceremonious way to sort of like give closure to fans. But if you love video games, you don't really get that. So it bums me out. And I saw a lot of people talking about this game like it's a free agent, and they're like, Sony should pick it up. And it's like it doesn't work like that at all.
Well,
like,
the rumor, we don't know for sure. Like, it's like that door, there's still a crack of that door open as we write this right now. What we know is that Microsoft canceled the game. They're not publishing the game. We don't know for certain that Platinum didn't maybe buy the rights back or...
Well, no. IGN has reported that Platinum retains the rights to Scalebound.
interesting.
So there's a chance that...
But they're not saying, no, they commented on the story today, and they're not saying that they plan or hope to resurrect it. They're just like, yeah, it's canceled and we're really sorry.
Well, it's also they could own the rights to the Scalebound license and the characters
name.
and the names and stuff like that.
but none of
But,
the game code.
yeah, and I remember a while back reading the whole thing about Rare and GoldenEye and how it was like Nintendo owned the levels that Rare had created in the multiplayer mode for GoldenEye, but Rare owned like the textures or characters or assets or something like that. So the way it
And
actually
so much of it's just
Well, I think
licensed.
I think it's actually vice versa.
Is it vice versa? Yeah,
Because
so-
that's how Perfect Dark could have remakes.
right, and like the Felicity
levels.
and the
Yeah.
the complex
They
or whatever
own-
they called
Well,
it.
but Perfect Dark was still Nintendo.
Yeah. So I mean,
Interesting.
a lot of that stuff like gets divvied up in different ways. So it's like, okay, Microsoft owns Rare and they own the Perfect Dark license, but they don't own the levels that were made under Nintendo, like all that kind of stuff.
So Platinum wanted to make a Scalebound game. Maybe they could, but they possibly couldn't reuse. Or we don't know. Like,
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
what
And in
happens
the
in the next
past
couple
year,
months.
another big canceled game, PT, or I guess it was going to be Silent
Yeah.
Hills, that is now kind of parts of it are in Kojima's game, right? In Death Stranding.
I think,
Well, at least that Norman Reedus model.
yeah.
well,
See, they did. We're able to use those assets. They work so hard.
no, I think he made a brand new model for that. I'm guessing he left.
I'm just making jokes.
Okay, I was gonna say because I know, but it's a really good example because I imagine that Kojima left Konami with like a manila folder full of stuff, and that was about it. Like he
they
didn't
are-
get to leave with
Yeah.
servers full of assets. He wasn't even allowed to finish Metal Gear Solid 5 on his own. Like he was not allowed to see the team for the last 6 months of development for that game.
I mean,
which
what
is
happened
why
to
it
him
doesn't have
was-
an ending.
What happened to him was a tragedy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I see. I know what's going on here. I mean, Sam, you're making a joke, but like, I guess we should spell out like the relationship between publisher and developer.
Yeah.
It is like, if it's not Nintendo making a Nintendo game, if it's Platinum making a game on behalf of, Microsoft, what's happening is Microsoft is saying, we'll give you $3 million, and then you have to deliver, you have to hit these milestones. You have to deliver a playable alpha and a design doc and like then a playable beta. And then we give you another $3 million and another $3 million. And the money goes to the publisher and then, a game gets spit back out at the end. And there are lawsuits like Sega sued the Borderlands developer, Gearbox. Over Alien because they claim they gave them all this money to make an Alien game, and then the Alien game turned out to be, it was a debacle, a disaster, and Sega accused them of spending that money to develop Borderlands. And so, like, stuff like that can happen. Like when you're working with a publisher, you don't know. If you're a developer, it can be an interesting scenario sometimes.
Yeah, it's really that whole sort of connection between business and art is really fascinating to me.
So Scalebound canceled. That takes one of Microsoft's big exclusives for the year off the table, which maybe it's time to revisit this question that we've been asking a lot in modern gaming times. Do exclusives even matter anymore? Do console exclusives matter today?
I mean, in a year with Red Dead and Mass Effect, like I feel like our Game of the Year games don't look like they're going to be exclusive.
But like Zelda is still an exclusive.
yeah, Zelda's
Yeah,
I mean,
but then
Nintendo is going to be the example I brought up.
Yeah, I mean, Uncharted 4 just sold nearly 9 million units.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of those were bundles, but they were bundled with a platform that exclusively plays Uncharted 4. So I think that to an extent, they help make a library more sort of robust and make a console more idyllic, because otherwise you're looking at the things like they're exactly the same. And if you're not looking at each version of the game going, this one is a little bit better, this one has exclusive DLC. Like there's exclusive games and there's like garbage that each game gets on one system or in one store. Exclusivity, like it cones down into such weird directions.
Timed exclusivity.
Yeah, all of that kind of stuff. I think timed exclusivity is one of the worst things in the world nowadays. But
Well, it's become a big joke because as soon as that exclusivity is up, like the version of the game that does hit, PC and the other platforms or whatever is probably going to be the definitive edition to begin
Right.
with. Like that's what happened with Tomb Raider. So
yeah, but like no one's talking about it anymore.
Yeah,
I think that Tomb Raider is one of the best games of the last 5 years, but no one. I mean, it made a dent on PS4, but it wasn't really like, oh, this is the best PS4 game, because people were talking about Uncharted instead, which is an exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, I wish games worked the way movies worked, and there was one video game box that you buy a video game box and you can play video games. Like I don't need to think about what my Blu-ray player is when I put a Blu-ray in it. It's universal. I wish that's how video games work.
I think it's funny that Nintendo has this stable of 20 plus years of amazing games and characters and stuff. They always remake them. They're great. Sony had to play catch up at one point, which is really funny. So they came up with their own mascot games. They came up with their own like adventure games, and like then Microsoft did it afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny when they did like PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale to like see Sony's cast of what their exclusive characters are and how they fit together, but they don't fit together in that way that Nintendo's world does, for me at least.
Yeah.
And I can't just rattle off a bunch of Sony exclusives still. They're like games, but they're not characters. They're not like these like kind of memorable separate things. We got Nathan Drake.
Yep.
We have Crash Bandicoot, which is now multi-platform. Probably.
Well, I think why PlayStation All Stars didn't work compared to something like Smash Brothers is Nintendo's stable of characters is predominantly from just basically E-rated games. A couple of T-rated games, but mostly E-rated games. Whereas Sony's is all over the place. So right off the bat, it was weird.
Kratos in there. Like,
it's just number two.
Think about Microsoft's swath of those. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Conquer,
but number two, they
Master Chief.
didn't have a unified art style
Strange.
for that game.
Yeah.
And that's a major problem.
yeah.
And I think that for Smash Brothers, they do. And they go like Snake and Pikmin and Olimar and Mario. They all fit in this universe together and these backgrounds and stuff like that, and they all sort of make sense. If you look at that, like even the Amiibo line, you're like, these all came from the same toy box.
Yeah. But if you look at Nintendo's games, like their exclusives are their best things on their consoles always now.
Yeah.
Like, is that helping them? Like, it's certainly helping them keep afloat, but it's not helping them win the console race.
Not at all.
Like, it's the companies that have to strive to have every game.
It didn't help with Wii U, even though they had fantastic games on there.
Yep.
And it wasn't the reason the Wii was successful.
No.
I
mean, it was exclusively interesting technology with Wii Sports.
Well, yeah.
That's what it was. And Wii Sports kind of counts for that.
I would push back a little and say that things like Donkey Kong Country Returns and Super Mario Galaxy were really best-selling games on the Wii, but nothing compared to stuff like, Wii Sports, which had no mascot, Wii Fit, which had no Wii Play, no mascot whatsoever. Carnival games.
I was just going to say. Like,
I will say, like I was already pointing out how, like, I wish we had one console, and just all games played on that one console. But what you lose with a system like that is the ability for hardware and software to be married together in a very close, intimate way, which is that's been Nintendo's thing ever since the Wii, I guess. The DS. With its two
they dropped
screens.
the ball with the Wii U, but the DS and the Wii and the 3DS are great for that.
Yeah,
totally.
Experiences that really only make sense on two screens and experiences that only make sense with the top screen and a touch bottom screen and with motion controls. Like, that's a really special thing, and it lets you have unique, special video game experiences. That
I agree with that. There is a counterpoint, though, that now that I'm used to 20 years of a controller and a television. Those games are still fine.
Yeah.
And they're always my favorite.
Yeah.
So like I'm a little worried about like how far you can stretch the hardware matching with software.
I think
meaningfulness.
if you look at something like Nintendo, if you took away their exclusives, you would be left with like interesting hardware that's underpowered compared to its competitors.
Exactly.
And that puts you in a weird spot. With Microsoft, I think they're very important because you're basically just left currently with an underpowered version of a PS4. Like if you
really needed
you
fix it with Scorpio. There's actually a reason Scorpio exists because they need to tell the story that they have the powerful
like
console.
what's its thing? I mean, Scorpio's thing right now is it's exclusively more powerful than any other console ever made, but it's also going to need some games, and we'll see how that rolls out.
We have an email here from listener Denzel, who says, "Hey, Scoop Crew.
Hey, listener.
I got a question. The rise and
Love you
fall
in Training Day.
The rise and fall of Platinum Games for beloved games like Vanquish and Bayonetta to recent turds like TMNT, Mutants in Manhattan, and The Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
TURT Ninja Turtles.
What happened? Their logo used to be a stamp of approval.
Yeah.
Was it though?
Well,
I mean, you definitely like. There's always been, not always, but recently, he's right. There's been 2 platinums, right?
Yeah.
Like you get Bayonetta platinum or you get Korra platinum, and you don't know. And
Yeah.
like that was the big joke leading into. I think Transformers was the most recent one, and it's like which
I think TMNT wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was last
like
year.
it's like which platinum are we gonna get?
Yeah.
Are we gonna get Korra
So-
platinum or Bayonetta platinum?
What are Platinum's best games?
Bayonetta 2.
Okay.
Well,
Bay-
there's that.
Bayonetta.
And people love Vanquish.
And then what
Actually,
was
like-
Platinum
I like
before
stuff like
Platinum
Mad
was
World.
Platinum?
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
that?
what was that? Was a different company though. Right?
Kamiya.
No, that
Yeah.
was Platinum.
Yeah.
That was their first round of games.
What was Killer 7 and stuff like that?
That's
No, that's
Grasshopper.
Suda.
Grasshopper, yeah.
Kamiya
So
was
that's a
making
different-
like Beautiful Joe and games like that. At
I'm just okay, I'm trying to take it all the way back. So so Beautiful Joe, that was a great
Yeah,
game.
so Platinum
yeah,
started
yeah.
out as this very hardcore Japanese action game developer with
Okay.
Mad World, Bayonetta, and then they experimented with this weird RPG on DS called Infinite Space.
Yeah. They also did Metal Gear Rising, right?
Yeah, Revenge. No,
Revengeance, I'm sorry.
But then some years ago, they started like taking on like licensed commission work.
Yeah.
and
I mean, they
some of
had
that
to,
like apparently they need to keep the lights on while they make their hardcore action Japanese games.
And that's what, like, I'm not accusing them of doing 1 ounce of a shady thing, but that's that situation I'm talking about. They need money coming in the door to keep the lights on, and that's where games like Korra come from. And then that game's a 4 out of 10 while they're working on the game. You know, another team at the company is working on the game that they really care about and are passionate about, and that's how a game like Bayonetta 2 comes
Those
out.
are big licenses though. Those could have been huge hits if they were a good game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Korra,
I'm just
Transformers, Ninja Turtles. Ninja
are all
Turtles
big
was,
licenses.
I don't know if you guys talked about it here, but it was recently just delisted from the.
already, like after like 9
So
months.
yeah,
was-
not even a year.
Yeah. it
You
was
listed
like-
from what?
From the PlayStation stores
sale
and
on
from
PSN.
basically digital stores. It's just gone.
Why would that ever go away?
Well,
I don't know.
It's
I mean-
happened in the past because licenses change hands. But in this case, I think
You have to pay to
Activision.
renew, and it
Yeah.
wasn't worth
But I think
it.
Activision still retains the rights to TMNT games.
Well, I think that's unclear. Like, we don't know.
Yeah, they also pulled some Spider-Man games from the store too. But yeah, I mean,
it used to be that companies they're in danger of losing the rights unless they used them again, which is why Activision was putting out James Bond games year after year after year, because if they didn't put out a new James Bond game, they were going to lose the license.
it's why Fox makes a new X-Men movie every year and a half because
yeah,
they're
that's
like,
true,
it's like.
I wish
oh,
the
I touched
TMNT
it.
license would be bought again by Ultra.
Yeah, exactly.
That first TMNT
I would
game.
love that.
And now Deadpool counts as
Just fake
X-Men.
Konami.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I think it's like a lot of these games were, if they had gotten 7 out of 10s, I think they would have sold a ton of copies, and then no one really would have cared.
Yeah.
and you would have had like a defense force for them. But a 4 out of 10 is a hard thing to fight for.
What was the actual question? I don't even.
Or like what happened?
Just what happened to Platinum Games.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they still have a lot of stuff on the horizon. Near Automata is coming out.
Looks great, actually.
soon, and people are excited for that one. And then they have a couple of new games that are announced for 2018, but I'm not familiar with the names. They have kind of long Japanese names, so I'm not sure what's going on with them. And then they also announced today that they are working on something new that they're focused on, and work is quietly progressing.
It's funny how some companies their size work on one game and put it out every 5 years,
Yeah.
and then there's companies like them and like Way Forward is like this. So many games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe how many games they produce.
Yeah.
I mean, game development's tough. It is a tough business to be in.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's look ahead at some games that are, we hope, coming out this year.
Yeah.
It's time. I want to hear what your most anticipated 2017 games are.
It's gonna be a great year for games.
I hope so. Yeah. So totally up to you guys. Whatever you're excited for,
I
I
actually
want
wrote
to
my
hear
list
about
down if you guys want to get.
Well, you're allowed to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I mean, I sent it to all you guys, and then Damon chastised me.
it. I publicly shamed him.
I'm supposed to recuse myself from the segment.
should I do mine first?
Sure.
Does that happen
Yeah,
right
go
now?
ahead. Yeah.
Obviously, number 1, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
I knew I shouldn't have sent my list out.
Why? I didn't copy
You
yours.
copied him.
so not officially confirmed for this year, right? Mm-hmm. Have they?
No, it's
Nintendo
definitely
has
coming
it?
out this year.
Okay.
Well,
Sorry.
yeah.
I mean, they said that about last year's.
And-
in the
It's
same
not
way,
offi-
any
It'll
Zelda
be on
game
Wii
is.
U and Switch this year.
In the sense that there's no release date yet, not
Yes.
officially. Well, maybe they did say 2017 for sure.
Absolutely.
I mean,
they're
we
not
know-
missing 2017 according to them.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I'm tripped up about it is because I don't know what their official line is. But we know the game's coming out this
Yeah,
year.
Okay.
it's
I think it was
99.9%
first half of
sure
the year
coming
or
out this year.
something.
Is that what they said?
Very excited for that one.
Number 2, Horizon Zero Dawn. which
Yeah, coming
is-
out next month.
Yeah.
What is this? What do any of those words mean in that title?
You gotta play,
find
you gotta
out.
play
I've
to
seen-
find out.
I played it. And
What's
I've
a Breath
seen
of the
bunch other
Wild?
stuff. Yeah.
Who's an
find
elf?
out. But I know what Zelda is. It's the lady in the
I know
game.
exactly what
Yeah,
Alf stands
yeah.
for.
No,
Yeah, alien
Horizon
life form.
Horizon looks great, and I'm actually I think I've said this on Scoop before, but I mean, you know, scaling the giant robots and take him down and exploring that world, like that's gonna be awesome. But like secretly, I'm really excited about. They're hyping up a mystery in the
Yeah.
trailers, and they're ending every trailer on like a weird story beat that actually
Yeah.
has me like way more intrigued than just like a.
You mean like the what happened to civilization thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just
Yeah,
like,
like-
they seem like they're hinting at, you know, like under the earth there's some technology
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she's going to explore. Like I don't know, you know,
Yep.
like they're just sort
Yep.
of planting seeds.
I'm worried that game won't be as open as it seems.
I'm actually
I was
okay with
hoping-
that.
That would be okay
Really?
if it's open in the way like Tomb Raider is.
I was just thinking that. Yeah, like
That is okay.
where you can like
But
head into
still.
a
Just
valley
big
and start
environments.
hunting and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I'm cool with that.
I do wanna
Fantasy's
say-
a little bit that way. I suppose.
Horizon
Yes.
Horizon is on my list as well. Like what's giving me a little bit of pause is the developer Guerrilla
Yeah.
Games.
Yeah.
Like Killzone Shadowfall. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they're kind of they're a little
But those
bit like,
games aren't technologically bad.
Oh, they're
They're
gorgeous.
just kind of like
Yeah.
silly throwaway shooters.
Well, I just like Platinum. They're kind of an up or down company, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Other people really like them, but
I think they're technically competent. I think that a lot of those games are just sort of bland and have pacing issues. But Horizon seems to be fixing that with some of its art direction and characters. So we'll see
I
where
hope
it goes.
that,
right
you
off
know,
the bat,
they're,
just
they're,
that.
they're stretching their wings on this one, and I hope that they stick the
Yeah,
landing on
me
it.
too. Number 3, South Park: The Fractured Butthole.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
we all
one.
forgot about
Isn't
that.
that
You're
supposed
leaning right
to be,
into it.
The Butthole.
Is there
Yeah.
like a release window for that? Or
Yeah, March Q1.
Yeah.
It is March. Okay.
So we'll see where that goes.
I think that's a candidate for a delay, but as of now, it's still March.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was supposed to be out
Yeah,
last
Q4, yeah.
month, and then they delayed it to like Q1, I guess. So.
Obviously, very different game than the last one, but same art style, same characters, same goofs.
Oh, I thought you were
great
setting up
writing.
your next pick, and I was like,
Oh,
what
no,
has
no,
the
well,
same
yes,
art
the ne-
style as South Park?
I mean, South Park is you're listing off all the games that I'm really looking forward to too. That's why I'm chiming
Copied
in on
your
them.
homework.
Stick of Truth was one of the funniest games ever made. Just immaculately made from how it recreated South Park and all that. And the one complaint that everyone universally had is like the combat system's really simple and basic. Like game's really fun and funny, play it, not much to the combat. And then they fixed that for the sequel. Like
Yep.
now it has a much more in-depth, sophisticated battle system. And
I
so
hope
it's like
that ends up being true.
like if it ends up being as funny and as interesting and as authentic as the original with like more in-depth battles, that's like a sleeper candidate for like
Yeah.
one of the best games of the year if they pull it off.
Number 4, Super Mario 3D West World, whatever that is, on Switch.
Just the new Mario.
The new Mario
We've
3D
seen,
platforming
like,
game.
8 seconds of it.
Those games are awesome to me. I'm super hooked on Mario Run. I'm like 100%ing that game. It's just they'll always have a place in my heart as Mario games. And what I love about the 3D games and the ones that come to consoles is that like they're one of the few games I can play with my wife. She's like not a hardcore gamer, but she'll sit down and collect every coin with me in those Mario games. So bring it on. We'll know more about that in the next 24 hours. Basically.
I feel like Zelda is like correcting all the problems with Zelda this
Yeah.
year, and like it's kind of making the game that I always like yell about in the show, like go into the world, do whatever
Yep.
you want, get hurt. I really like that about Zelda. If they do that for Mario, then for me that would mean big explorable hub world like the castle or like even the Sunshine Village, which I thought was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then have like hub worlds and you explore those. Like it needs to get back to that. I like Galaxy, but I don't love it because it doesn't have secrets.
It does feel segmented.
same way.
I would
It
love
is-
something
it is
on that
supposed to be
scale. I don't want like a massive open world game, but I want something on like Mario 64 size.
Open world.
I mean,
And-
everyone,
what would that be?
everyone kind of forget like Mario 64 was incredibly different.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Mario Galaxy feels more like a Super Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario
Yeah,
World
with just
sequel.
levels and a map.
And it's like you're right. It's like Sunshine and Mario 64 in some other little pocket Mario universe that we got away from. And
Yep.
like maybe it is time to get back to like a secret filled Mario hub
I
world.
just think that'd be awesome.
And number 5, Star Wars Battlefront 2.
yeah.
I have a feeling that
Not
they're
even
going.
announced yet, but we know
Yeah.
we're confident it's
Yeah, and I have a feeling they're going to do basically. I think that like if the Force Awakens kind of kept it safe and Rogue One was just like let's do some crazy stuff with these characters, I think that Star Wars Battlefront 2 like they've gotten all the sort of vegetables out of the way and now they can have dessert basically. Like they're gonna have fun with this one. You're gonna get to see
All
some weird
space
stuff.
combat.
Yeah, and I think we'll see single player
be that. It'd be
campaign
cool.
and a bunch of other things. So all space combat. Yeah, they're just floating around shooting each other. I want them on the ground. I want them to go to a bunch of other planets that we haven't seen yet. Lots of cool unlockable weapons and
Are you
stuff.
still playing
Could
Battlefront?
be-
Here and there. Like I checked out the Rogue One stuff for a little while.
It's a good like veg out game.
Yeah.
Like I don't play a ton of shooters, but just to lean back and just play 3 or 4 matches, it's great.
It's very quick and easy comfort food to jump in on like a Sunday afternoon for a half an hour. Don't know what else to play.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much of episode 8 is.
Yeah, or how that gets bridged with the we'll see where all that goes. So I'm excited.
Yeah, it is interesting with Battlefront too. Like Battlefront was like, we're on Endor and we're on a Hoth, and we talked extensively on GameScoop and other shows about the authenticity of like the way that the AT-ATs break down and like the laser bursts on the walls. Like it looks like Star Wars, but they can't keep doing Hoth
do that
and
again.
Endor. So it's like
Nope.
that does put them in a little bit of a tight spot.
Well, sort of like in Rogue One, like you see the ATST and you see an AT-AT and you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
But like it's also sort of like familiar at this point.
Well, Rogue One being a flashback movie, like it gets a little bit of a pass. But Star Wars, man, like Hoth, Empire Strikes Back, like AT-ATs are like, what is this? That's this crazy walker. Like Star Wars needs new stuff.
Yeah, it totally does. It totally does. So I hope they can invent some new ships
How
and
about
weapons
like
and
some
aliens.
sort of race? Maybe on a planet like in pods, like a pod race.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
I would totally play.
Just something different,
I would play the hell
Shake
out of
it
a
up.
pod race in the Frostbite engine. That'd be awesome.
Pod racing on N64 was great.
Yeah, and I hope it's like secretly a Trojan horse to get me another PSVR mission because the X-wing mission was really cool.
You'd be
One
Bantha Poodoo if they ever put that out.
One thing that bugged me about Rogue One is that in Empire, the AT-ATs seem virtually indestructible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're just like taking them down left and right in Rogue One. They're like, just shoot them a couple times with the next wing and they go down.
It was technically like maybe the Empire learned from the weaknesses
armored them?
and armored them more.
Yeah, it was,
there's
it was that
no-
weak orange belly they had.
They, for some reason, and I'm sure there's a reason for this, but the X-wings don't enter the atmosphere at all in Hoth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
I
have
mean,
snow speeders for
there's
that.
odd stuff like there's the.
Well, I mean, they're landed. They just don't get up and fire.
I'm not a
Yeah,
big enough
that's
Star
true.
Wars nerd to know the name of it, but there's those ships that they use in Rogue One that are. It's just
Troop
a hard.
transports?
It's a hard thing to introduce new stuff in a movie like Rogue One because then the argument's always like, well, where
Yeah,
is
the
that
U-wing?
stuff?
Yeah.
Is that what it was called?
U-wing?
I don't. Yeah,
Main
maybe the
ship?
U-wing.
Yeah, the U-wing and the trip transports were justified by that they only there's like a guy who's only made a few of them. Like they wrote.
Seriously?
Yeah, they figured that out. It's in the visual dictionary.
I'm so on the fence between like just let them make cool ships. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then the other part of me is like, well, no. Like the whole conceit is that you have this universe that all fits together, so you need to explain.
That's
it.
what you do is you create those ships in Rogue One, and then you just add them into the special or special edition.
Well, Star Wars is dumb because if you look at like the prequels, it's like, okay, everyone was driving like weird 1950s cars in space. 30 years later, they all had X-Wings and TIE fighters. 30 years after that, they still had X-Wings and TIE fighters, but they had red stripes on them.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't make any sense.
I know we're way off topic here, but today
fine.
Cracked.com has a great article on the craziest stuff that's happened in the Star Wars extended universe.
Yeah, we wrote
yeah.
that feature. We wrote a version of that too.
Yeah.
Well,
it's weird stuff,
It's
right?
really, really
like
good.
the dismissed extended universe.
I mean,
the legends.
just
The
like
old
the novel.
myths.
Yeah. The novels and the comics.
Okay.
And apparently in one novel, Luke is like exploring this other planet with one of his Padawans, and then they encounter this rogue AI, and then his Padawan dies, and then the rogue AI like falls in love with Luke and reanimates his dead Padawan's body, and they have this like sexual encounter. It's so weird.
There's an
like-
Ewok Jedi and a droid Jedi.
Yeah, it's a droid Jedi. He's really cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Sam, most anticipated games.
So Brian hit a
feel
lot
free
of
to
them for
reiterate.
me.
It's fine.
And it's for me, it's Zelda, then Mario, which I hope are at different times.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have Mario
Yeah.
maybe in the summer or the fall. Just so I have time to love Zelda at launch, which I hope it gets back to launch. And then the two that he didn't have are Mass Effect. For me, I'm obsessed with
Andromeda?
that series. Like I can't wait. I hope.
Yeah.
I don't dislike anything
really-
about 3. But
mean-
2 is my one of my favorite games ever.
See, I really disliked 3, but I love 2. So I mean, I hope they can get back to
The
that early
little
Mass
bit
Effect
from
magic.
CES last week finally showed like just fighting stuff for like 30 seconds. And it was like, that was the exact Mass Effect I want to play.
Yeah.
And man, like just seeing a ship land and like new game graphics is just like thrilling to me. It looks awesome. It's so pretty. And then Red Dead Redemption 2, I don't really like, we've talked about this in previous shows, but like Grand Theft Auto is a little bit cynical, and I don't really like the setting of it. But I like Rockstar, and they make amazing Western games, and this is the Western. I love the series a lot. Yeah.
I've never really heard it put like that. I think that makes perfect sense. GTA is a very cynical game. And there's something kind of awesome about just like walking around in the wilderness and like hunting bobcats.
Red Dead's a lot more earnest
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I mean, I'm not saying that the character is a good character. I mean, he's still a
Of course,
murderer.
yeah, he's still an
has
ass.
all that
Yeah,
stuff.
but just like by its nature,
some
GTA
kind of
is
difference to it.
a lot about social commentary.
Yeah.
and it's hard to provide social commentary on the 1800s.
in the woods. Yeah.
Although you do, I think there's a mission to kill the last buffalo in Red Dead, so it's got some of that. But
Yeah, and then the Yeti doesn't really exist.
That's pretty cynical.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Skeptical at the
completely
very
agree with
least.
you about Mass Effect. I actually never finished that trilogy. I obsessed over 1 and 2, and then I had other stuff going on in my life and didn't finish
Yeah.
3. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try to get back to it and finish it before Andromeda. But new aliens, new races, new planets.
That's cool too, right?
Yeah.
Different galaxy.
Yeah. And I think people gloss over like the combat. They really I know some people liked the more RPG feeling Mass Effect 1, but by 3 they were basically a full-on action game, and they're leaning even farther in that direction for Andromeda. And like there's nothing else like it. Like it looks and feels great. And like I know people, it's sort of hot to bag on Dragon Age Inquisition, but like that game's party-based combat was incredibly polished and satisfying as well.
The music in Mass Effect is always one of my favorites
That's
too.
true. I love
It's
the
like
music.
synthy and these throwback kind of 80s soundtrack.
Yeah. I really
they
think
just
that's
nail
it.
that.
Yeah.
It's when it starts pumping while you're in a fight or something in the game. It's great.
Yeah, you guys said all the ones I was going to say. The only other one that jumps to mind is isometric RPG called Torment Tides of Numenera. It was a big Kickstarter success. It's a spiritual successor to Planescape Torment, which is probably the best written game of all time. Best video game story, best video game dialogue. So it's an RPG, like Divinity or like Baldur's Gate or any of those, but just with a crazy, wild setting. Just like it's fantasy, but not like dwarves and elves. It's just different and unique and feels very fresh and special. And based on what I've seen from the previews, the dialogue options that you have just go so far above and beyond other games of being able to talk your way out of combat or fight your way out or sneak your way around. Like I'm a little skeptical. It's not like the original Torment team. They got some of the band back together, but not the whole band. So it's sort of like someone treading on this name, and it might not deliver on that hype, but the previews seem very promising, and they've been very transparent about the development process, and it seems like it came together. So cool. I hope. Nice. I mean, just stuff like Pillars of Eternity and, again, Divinity. Like these games are back now. And it's awesome that like RPGs can be Mass Effect Andromeda, or RPGs can be Undertale, or they can be Torment. Like,
or Ni no Kuni too.
Like every flavor of the thing
Persona's
you're
still
into.
coming out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
about that.
And like
I don't
Persona.
know whether I like that series because I've never played it, but I'll try this one.
I made fun of 4 on the podcast last week and felt a little bad about it. It's a great game. It's just not.
Are you going to take back the Sonic bagging too?
No, the Sonic bagging I will stand behind forever. But Persona, I'd like to walk that.
And
back.
I guess I don't know.
Unbelievable.
Maybe Damon is going to get to these, but God of War could come out this year. Still, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I would love for it to.
That's
They haven't
appealing
talked
to
about a
me
release window
more
for
so
that,
than
so.
any other God of War game. Like I think it finally looks really cool. Although I played all the others.
I personally would be amazed if that game shipped this year.
What about Spider-Man?
I don't think that one's coming this year
I
either.
agree.
I think
All right,
both
so
of
we can
those
keep
were
those
very early, sort of like.
But I'm excited for this game.
There is a new Spider-Man movie coming this year.
Yes.
So I know the
And I like
game
the
is
new
not
Spider-Man actor
based
and
on the
character.
movie, but sometimes maybe they want to like cash in on that.
That would be
mind
smart.
share.
But maybe they'll cash in on the second Spider-Man movie.
I mean, we know that there's teams working on the Gears of War 4 team is making Gears of War 5. Probably not for this year. We're actually due for another Halo game. Like we might see that revealed at E3. Like, and that franchise, like Halo 5 multiplayer was so excellent. Like, so there's stuff that I'm hyped for that we're just kind of waiting for them to lift the lid off.
Supposed to be a Fire Emblem and an Animal Crossing on
phones.
On phones.
Yeah.
On
still.
phones. Yeah, that's still happening.
Those could be good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I'm
had no
Sure.
idea.
There's no reason why.
I'm
I haven't seen anything about it.
kind of worried about the direction those will take because the Super Mario Run it was such a nosedive in terms of sales because of that hard you can play 3 levels for free or everything for $10 and there was nothing in between.
I thought everything was a positive spin on the money they made. It's just not compared to
me
Pokemon,
as somebody who buys Mario games, I'm like, I get a full Mario game for $10. This is awesome. But
Oh,
for
you're
peop-
saying the reaction. It still made money.
people who buy iPhone
Made like $12
games,
million,
it
yeah.
made a lot of money, but it stopped basically.
So so only a small percentage of people that download the game actually paid for it.
Yeah.
But that's how like all mobile games.
Yes,
What's
work.
a demo? I mean, yeah.
But a lot of people did complain. They're used to getting mobile games for free now, so they're complaining that the free portion wasn't big enough.
Yeah, and that it doesn't. So the free portion isn't big enough, and investors are complaining that you can't basically give it more money than the
Can't
$10.
you can monetize it further.
Okay.
So I have a feeling Animal Crossing will be free to play, and same with Fire Emblem, and then you'll get 10 hours in or 5 hours in, and you'll start to see the hooks 2 hours in maybe, and it'll be like, oh, $2 for this house or $3 for this painting or this roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that could totally ruin Animal Crossing now that I think.
Oh
about
yeah.
it.
Well, yeah.
Dude,
I mean,
Animal Crossing is such a candidate to monetize up the wazoo. It's insane.
If they're smart, and the funny thing about this is that they've already done this. They did it with Amiibo cards. They've done it with
There's a precedent.
the e-reader back in the day. You had those
yeah.
paper cards you had to scan
those
that
are
like
great.
unlock stuff in the game. So we'll see.
Well, I picked 4 games that no one else mentioned, and
Oh, let me guess. They have cards in them.
nope, no card games. And I will I'll share them in order of release. Coming this month, Double Dragon 4.
Oh, dude, I cannot wait. We got to do Let's Plays when that comes out
for sure.
I cannot
Have you
wait.
seen what this game looks like?
existed. No, I
Yeah.
just
It
found out
looks
this
like
week.
the NES version of Double Dragon 2,
It's like Mega Man 9.
and made by the guys that brought us
That's
Hardcore Uprising.
Yeah.
That new
I love
Contra
Hardcore.
game.
That
Right.
game's
So it's
so
like,
fun.
okay.
So we saw there was a Double Dragon game a couple years ago. Was
That
it
sucked.
Neo?
EX?
That was
Neon.
not Neon. That was not
yeah.
good.
It's terrible.
And
But it was intentionally retro.
yeah, but it
Well,
felt like a cover song. Whereas this
Yes.
is actually intentionally retro. Like this is straight up like old school
It's
sprites
like
and everything.
like Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
Like a new retro looking game.
Yep.
So I hope that's really cool.
It's 2-player in the arcade, but only one at home.
Aw, dang.
No.
Does it have
That's
Vimy and Jimmy?
Yeah, hopefully. So that looks really cool.
We
Next
should
month.
prepare for that by watching the Double Dragon movie, which I've
No,
never seen.
no. What? Really?
Yeah, it looks
I
great
took
though.
my parents to see that movie.
You took the.
Or they took me. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I was
I
like,
love that idea.
It's really
Mom
bad.
and Dad, can I take
don't
you
know
guys
that-
out?
No, I had a conversation with a
night.
friend recently about like the worst movies our parents took us to, and I think that was up there. It's really
I thought that was
bad.
a direct to video movie.
No, that was in
theatrical
theaters.
release.
Alyssa Milano's in it.
for one
Yeah,
week.
I know.
All I
she's in it.
remember.
Have you ever seen the Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren?
Yes,
That movie looks like a really fun turkey.
I liked
would
it when I was
totally
a
watch
kid.
that.
Yeah. Don't know what it's like now.
it's a good time.
Next month, I'm excited for Halo Wars 2. Big strategy
We brought that
fan.
up, didn't we?
No, not in
Not
this.
this
Not in this
Okay.
segment.
I
We don't-
loved Halo Wars. That game is really
I
fun.
did too. RTS
I hear
games
it's hard
are
to select on the
on the new one.
no, the first one for people that only played on PC.
Oh, okay.
They never
Okay,
liked
okay.
it, but I never
it was
got
like
that.
it was built for console controls, so it actually worked for. And RTS games are few and far between on consoles, so very excited for that one.
Ensemble made the original, and they have all that Age of Empires legacy. No one knew RTS games like they did besides maybe Blizzard. And so, with the new team making 2, that makes me slightly
Sure.
skeptical. But it looks, so far, it seems like they're singing the right song.
Yep, that looks really good. In April, I believe, Ukulele.
Oh man, that was like
know.
right at the cusp of my list of 5.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
got to play that at PSX and I loved it.
Yeah, I
It's such
can't
a
wait.
good time.
I haven't played a new platformer, a 3D platform in a long time.
So the build I played at PSX had giant arcade cabinets hidden in each level that apparently have like secret games in them, but they wouldn't let me walk over and try it. They let me walk
See
over
the
and see
title
it.
screens at all?
No. But there's like those worlds are huge. It's like we're talking about we want Nintendo to make another Mario 64, but
Yeah.
these guys are doing it with ukulele.
Does it have a
exactly.
hub world like Banjo-Kazooie style? Because I love that. Spiral Mountain is
That
so
I don't
great.
know.
Mountain's great.
My guess is it does because they've nailed every other aspect of the sort of 64-bit
That'd be great.
mascot platform.
All right, so Mario can be whatever
Yeah.
it wants if the ukulele's that.
Yeah, totally.
Sure.
right? And then later this year, I'm excited to play Prey.
Yeah, Prey looks
New
really
Prey.
cool.
Yeah.
Looks like it could be sci-fi Dishonored. It looks like you're gonna have a lot of fun tools, and you can decide how you want to approach problems and
In that
solve
trailer,
problems.
you
in the
turned
game.
into a cup.
Yeah, it's cool.
Plus, you like the prequel a lot, Eat.
Yep. I was a big fan of that. I don't know.
was
Hopefully
Eat,
they
Pray,
get
Love
the
joke.
hope they get,
That
they
was
get
good.
the
It's a
trilogy
tough one.
wrapped up.
Yep.
But there was a
Before I'm too
prequel,
old.
and it was also called Prey, and
Well,
it was
yeah.
a very different game, and it's not even related anymore.
No,
yeah.
Not
that
at
was a
all.
weird one.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's check in with the listeners.
Hey, listeners.
Hey,
This
listeners.
is, remember,
Hey,
you can
Tony.
always reach us at the email address, gamescoop@ign.com, just like Big Tony style did.
Yeah.
First one of 2017, I think.
That's right. He says, over the weekend,
Yes.
I completed the Battlefield 1 campaign in about 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
As the credits rolled, the achievement popped as a rare achievement obtained by just 9% of players.
Whoa.
Which seems surprisingly low for
Wait, just for beating it?
yeah. Fairly low for a short single player campaign. I'm wondering how often you guys see games through to their completion. How quickly do you decide if you will finish a game or just move on to other games? So yeah, like I checked the achievements. Only 9% of players on Xbox One have beaten the campaign
Goodness gracious.
for Battlefield 1.
That's very low.
You got to understand too, like when we have this conversation, we can play any game and we make very different decisions than I did when I used to buy games. I'd always beat them.
And also, I should mention there's apparently it's confusing in Battlefield 1. You have to beat the campaign and then watch a video from the title screen, and then you get the achievement. So maybe some people have beaten it and not watched the
For
video.
sure. That makes a lot more sense.
Either way, those stats are low, and it's hard
Yeah.
to justify adding single player to multiplayer games when you see stuff like that, which bums me out.
Which is
Brian, you
this is
beat
the
everything.
same.
Whenever we talk about stuff, you're like, I beat that.
Yeah, I try to finish stuff. I mean, there are games that like I have a very defined relationship with that are like, okay, there's way too much left in this thing, and I'm done with it. Yeah. My problem is getting to that point of saturation in the game where you're like, should I 100% it or should I just stop right here? Like what Watch Dogs is like. Watch Dogs 2 is a game I finished, but like actually going back and getting everything in it is a completely different story because you're doing like time trials. And
For me, if it's after September, that ain't gonna happen.
really,
Yeah, me too.
I don't know. I try to make time for stuff.
There was a couple years ago
100%ing.
where I was reading a blog post about someone that was trying to read more. They didn't like that they were an adult and they didn't read books, and they wanted to start reading books. And one of the things that they did, or they were recommending to people that want to start reading more, is if you're reading something and you're not really liking it or you're not feeling it, you're bored, instead of just putting the book down, physically throw it across the room.
That's great.
And they said just the act of like, and I didn't get like I didn't understand it, but what you're doing when you throw it across the room is it's just let the book go. Like people feel guilt not finishing things if they're, and then they force themselves to like, it's like, I'm going to keep taking bites of this food I don't like. I'm going to keep reading this book I'm not into just to finish it. It's like, no, there are infinite books out there. There are infinite games out there. And that's
Throw that plate of cookies against the wall.
Yeah.
that's become my attitude towards games where
healthy.
we
I like
do have the privilege of we get a lot of stuff through work, so I didn't have to pay $60 for Watch Dogs 2. That's reality. But I just didn't like it. And like a lot of people do, and I'm not saying it's the game, it's me. Like, why should I keep, like, I put it down and I played Batman Telltale, which I liked a lot more. I put it down and I picked Stardew Valley back up, which I like a lot more. Like, there are too many games to spend 1 minute playing a game that I don't love.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
I feel like there needs to be a time limit that I set for myself for that. And I know with books it's 40 pages.
So you actually have you do that then.
Yeah, and like for the games, I do know that we review games that say this game gets better at this point.
Right.
So I try to play it at that point, if that's the case. And for Last Guardian, which I'm playing right now, everybody's like, the last about third of that game is just amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I'm in that third now. I don't know what the difference is.
I think
I'm not so sure.
it's more like the last hour of that game. I mean, if
Is
you're
that
not
really what it is?
if
So
you're
I'm not even there yet?
If you're not liking everything you've done so far, you're going to keep doing whatever you've been doing until the last hour, which
that's
is
absolutely true.
thematically and cinematically very, very interesting and sort of different than the beginning of the game. But I mean, I think like on the flip side of that, first of all, like I purchase my games digitally, so I don't know if my PS4 can handle that kind of beating. Secondly, I think like our access to games, and I think a lot of people now with stuff like Redbox, and
Humble
stuff,
bundles or whatever.
yeah, humble bundles, it almost devalues games to the point where it's easier to give up on something. So I would urge, like on the flip side, to sort of like give something a little more time to see if you do like it. And but if you don't, give up. Don't play something to finish it. I see people in the Podcast Beyond group all the time, hardcore PlayStation guys who are like, I want to get the platinum in this game, the platinum
Still
trophy.
trudging through X.
Yeah.
Can't wait till I'm
and
finished.
I can't
It's like,
start
don't
the
do
other
that.
thing. I had this like neighbor who wasn't allowed to get the prize in his cereal until he finished the box of cereal. And I was like, your parents are evil people. That's horrible. He wasn't allowed to get a new video game until he beat the old one. And I went over and I would beat the game in front of his parents and be like, buy this kid a new game. And they'd be like, you got to do it on hard mode now. And I'm like, you're just cheap. You're just being cheap.
Yeah.
So I think if you set up arbitrary rules and you keep yourself from
Parents
having
know
fun.
about hard mode?
Yeah, they did in Aladdin for Super Nintendo.
Oh, that's so mean. That's impossible.
Yeah, it wasn't the Lion King. So I don't know. I think there's a balance between giving up on something immediately, giving something a fair shake, and playing something to completion because you're obsessed with it and you have to.
I mean, it's not just me having access to games for work. I also have more money than I do time at this point in my life, and so like I value my time more than I value them. Like if I spend $60, like I bought No Man's Sky. That was a game I bought with my own cash. Didn't like it and had no like. I'm like, I wish I wouldn't have spent that $60, but I'm like, I'm not gonna keep playing this.
Right.
I'm just not like.
I kept playing it for you.
I know, yeah. When like I spent, I think 80 hours with Factorio, like this PC game where you build crazy elaborate factories.
I don't even know what that is. I've never even heard of it. You spent 80 hours playing a game I've never heard of, and
we
worked
did some
together.
Let's Plays on IGN that I have never seen fewer people watching video in my life. And like that game just grabbed me, and I'm like, this is really special, and I love it. And when I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about it. And like Factorio, like that's all I care about. And like, so why? Like if I play something, I'm like,
Yeah.
like I'll put it, like I'll keep playing a game until I find that next special one. Yeah.
Well, I'm like I bought No Man's Sky and I bought Overwatch, and Overwatch didn't really click with me. I played for a few hours and I'm like, it's cool. I understand why people love it. It's not really for me.
Yeah.
I played No Man's Sky for probably like 6 hours, and then I talked about it for 100 at work on different shows. So that sort of justified it. But then there are other games like, you know, in the same breath where I'll spend $60 on something and only play it for a few hours. 6 months later, I'll spend $60 on something and then play it like a half an hour a day for a year.
Yeah.
So it's checks and balances when it comes to stuff like that.
I mean, you know, when you get home and you know you have dinner and you do whatever, and then I'm really looking forward to sitting down with X. And like I think sometimes that feeling goes away for people before they realize it's gone away for people, and then they're just playing it to get through it.
Yeah.
And even if like I'll stop if I get to the final boss, I'll just stop. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel no special pressure. To
I think in terms of finishing games, it's weird because a lot of games I don't really play for story.
Yeah.
I wish I did. And that's not to say that games have bad writing. It's just to say that video games as a vehicle for telling a compelling story aren't necessarily always the best way to do something like that.
100% agree with you.
Yeah. So I mean, there's stuff
That's why it's so nice when they do have a story
Yeah.
that pulls me through some of the worst parts of the game. Like I think Uncharted 4, like I still wanted to complete it.
Yep. I was a
I didn't
perfect
have
example.
I don't have a bunch of problems with that game. I love it.
Yeah.
But like the story actually pulled me through it just as much as some of the other things.
I felt the same way with Firewatch, which is something that I was like, well, actually, like moving these Donkey Kong hands around this level and jumping up on stuff. Like, I'm not the most interesting thing in the world,
Donkey Kong
but I
hands is
love
really
the
fun.
relationship with Delilah. I love the whole way the story spread out. So I was compelled to finish it.
Sunset.
Yeah, it helped that it was 3.5 hours long too. Same with Inside.
I actually didn't finish Inside or Firewatch, even though they're crazy short.
Wow.
What?
I was bored by both
Yeah.
of them.
Oh.
And but then I really like this year's Call of Duty, so
Yep.
you know, there's no accounting for taste.
Plus,
I
once you
guess.
throw them across the
So
room.
you're a casual noob COD fan.
Yeah, I mean, there's no like it's very random. Like I dug Call of Duty, I dug weird indie games, and then I didn't like these two critically beloved games.
Yeah.
So what do I know?
It happens.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say I beat virtually every game that I like.
That's a good way to put it. I like that.
I like
But
Dishonored,
sometimes I like a
didn't
game
beat
for a
that.
while, and then like Final Fantasy 15, I've put
I'll beat that.
dozens of hours into, and I enjoyed it. But that may be my
Yeah.
my time with it may be over now.
No,
I know it sounds hypocritical. I never beat Metal Gear Solid 5, but I played up until the
Most
very
people didn't.
last part of it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I couldn't make this one decision that happens in the game and all this other stuff happened.
Yeah.
But I played 100 hours of it.
I played
and I loved it.
I played 60 hours of that game and I gave up in that one mission where those those ghost zombie asses are trying to kill you out of that tank, and it's just like I lost 20 times in a row, and then when I thought of that game for the next 3 months, I thought of that part and I said I don't want to do this anymore.
The story was fun to watch in the game, but I can't tell you what it is, and I don't care.
Me neither.
Yeah.
But
That's
I loved
all
it. But
Metal
I
Gear.
love
That's
that
good
game.
game.
That's what the gameplay is so strong in that
Yeah.
game. It doesn't matter the story; it doesn't make any sense.
There's definitely many instances where it's not the game's fault. It's like you're playing something, it's totally great, but then you go on vacation or you get busy with work, and then it's
Yeah.
just like, well, okay, I'm gonna never finish.
Something else
Never
comes out
I'm
right
never
on its
finishing
heels.
that.
That's true. This is Devin H. Says, hey, Damon, I wanted to bring something up to you game scoopers to talk about. Why can't games give you a digital copy of the game you buy like Blu-rays do? Why is this such a difficult thing for them to implement? I know I would still buy physical copies if that were the case. As it is, I just can't do it because digital is so convenient, though it does have some drawbacks. He says, thanks, guys, and keep fucking that chicken. I don't know what that means.
It's from a newscast
Yeah.
blooper.
Okay.
Where they're
Wow.
talking about plucking chickens, and the newscaster just goes, "Well, Diane, keep fucking that chicken," and then she just goes white. Her face just beads of blood.
He either doesn't know what he said
Yeah.
or doesn't care because he just like
There's some freezing, and then they cut to commercial.
Wow. Okay. That's
the guy doesn't go oh no or anything. He just sits there.
Check it out.
All
That's
right.
pretty good. All right. Physical copies coming with a download code. It's probably because that download code could be handed to someone else and then they lost another sale.
Well, I'm thinking about movie download codes. Aren't those usually for use on like on another device, on like an iPad or some device that doesn't have a Blu-ray drive? Isn't that the point of them?
Yeah, I think so.
So in a video
and I
game-
think a lot of the Sony movies, if I'm incorrect, you have to like download it through Sony's portal, so it's a little inconvenient. I don't think I've actually ever redeemed.
I think it's a
one of those
great
codes.
idea.
Well, sure, it's a great
You
idea.
games
buy
aren't
records
playable
all
on-
the time, and you get a little
That's true.
digital code with them, and that means you can also play them on your phone.
But the problem is
that's
the
true.
games aren't playable on your phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think part of it too is the resale value aspect. When you could buy a new game, keep the digital code, sell the physical copy of the game for 10 or 15% less than what you paid for it. There isn't really a movie stop the way there is a GameStop anymore. I mean, although they do sell movies, it's just in the doldrums in the corner of their store. So I think that I don't know, market-wise, it'd be a big problem. Games are more expensive, and you get more money back from them. But I love the idea. I mean, if there was a way to promise that you weren't going to trade it in, then you had two things.
I bet when you buy that record, you plan to keep it for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's really cool about that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what excites me about what you're talking about. Just the one thing is having the physical copy. If that encourages more people to have it, I think just that's cool. But I guess having it doesn't deter me. I mean, I don't know. Digital copies aren't that convenient for me right now. I feel like the disc install is the install. And
I think they get
they're like
wasted
so
a lot.
equivalent.
Yeah.
I love digital copies. I mean, I look
Do
at
you
my
use yours?
Oh, all the time. I look
Are we talking about the same thing? He's talking about just digital copies of games.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the digital copy. You buy a Blu-ray and it comes with a digital copy.
I mean, I don't buy Blu-rays because everything I buy is through I'll buy
I just stream everything.
I stream everything, but I also have I'm building a library on Amazon Prime of all of my favorite movies of all
That's smart.
time.
Hopefully those will get upgraded.
Yeah. I hope so too.
years,
And then
but
it's like the kind of thing where I can check in on and before I get on a plane, I can be like, I want to watch Return of the Jedi, and I just hit a download button on my Kindle and there it is. So I look at people who have giant shelves of movies. I'm not really like that. I know that streaming will never be as good quality as say a 4K disc or something like that.
What if they released an old NES game again, and then they gave you the digital code to play it on your Wii U?
Oh, man.
That would be cool.
That'd be dope. That's a
So
really
you
good
could
idea.
have a nice sealed box.
I was actually talking to somebody the other day about how the NES Mini or the NES Classic or something, it was almost a missed opportunity to have it play small, Game Boy sized cartridges that you would buy in boxes that would maybe come with a digital code or maybe you could plug in. I mean, just the idea of being I bought this console for $30, but you can also buy a bunch of, it would have started this whole new thing where I don't know, we were trading games with each other and we're I would buy a little Bubble Bobble cartridge.
Dude,
again. That's awesome.
If the NES Mini came with a line of $15 or $20 carts, people would have gone ape over those.
And people were importing them, and some of them were really hard to find. And we were like, I have Metroid on 70 systems. Why am I trying to get this thing again? I don't know. Would have been cool.
I still buy Blu-rays because I'm a sucker for director's commentaries.
Yeah. That stuff's
For
really
the movies
cool.
I care about, that's true. I have the Star Wars, the trilogies, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, that kind of stuff for the commentary.
Digital is really bad at that stuff.
Yeah,
I
they
bought
need to solve for that.
Oh, dude,
right?
I got Force Awakens digitally, and then it's just all tacked on the end.
It makes no sense.
It's like an hour
It's all
and
on
a
the
half
same.
just
Yeah,
on
I
one
went to get
track.
the movie, and it's 3 hours and 45 minutes long, and I'm like, that movie's not that long.
Yeah.
So the movie ends, and they play the Star Wars credits from John Williams, and then there's here's the 30-minute making of, here's the behind the scenes. It was why
And
is all
on
this
your
stuff
Xbox,
here?
it takes so long to fast forward to the end
It's
of
not
it.
even chapters.
No, and it's
awful.
You know who used to do that is VHS tapes, and it's how did we
It
get
feels
so
very
far?
retro.
We got so far into the future, and then we're still backwards with that. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's some problems to solve, but.
All right, one more quick email this week comes from Ransom Garcia, and he says, I just finished
Good name.
last week's episode 418, and Altano's comment about it being impossible to beat Punch-Out without codes compelled me to write in this email. You see, I know that comment to be false because I actually accomplished what Brian claims.
That's
is
not what I
impossible.
said. That's not what I said at all.
Don't say that because now what someone's going to do is take that and splice it together.
I said I've never beaten it because I suck at that game. I know people who my brother's beaten
But
in front of me straight through dozens of times.
He has a story, an anecdote.
Okay.
we often say things that aren't true for
Throw it across
effect.
the room.
He says, I did it when I was 24 and I'm 32 now. I had just gotten dumped by the first girl I ever loved. It was a terrible breakup. And it was,
Maybe you should have listened better.
thankfully, the only time I've ever had to deal with depression. To make matters worse, after moving out of the apartment I shared with my ex, I found myself having to briefly move back in with my parents. Not the coolest thing for a dude in his mid-20s. But
Yeah, country
something
song.
incredible
Punch
happened when I moved back home while going Through the old boxes, I found my old NES and a ton of games. One of those games was Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!
That's so cool.
Thank God I had Mike Tyson in it.
I remember thinking to myself, I had never beaten that game before, so I went to the store, bought a ton of beer, I locked myself in my old childhood room, and I gave myself a goal. I was determined to beat that game from start to finish without using any codes. It was hard. It took the better part of that weekend to accomplish my goal, but in the end, I finally did it. And in the end, it was the first time I wasn't thinking about my ex. So in a weird way, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out helped me get through a pretty rough patch in my life.
And beer.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Also, I never said what you said I said. No, there are no codes in that game like one punch knockouts. The codes are basically just level
Continues,
select
yeah.
codes that get you to, like, you can start.
Can you say
Start
Mike
from
Tyson's?
Super Macho Man.
Yeah, you can
Anybody
start
here?
right at Mike Tyson.
No, can you?
I think
Can you recall it?
007373.
Really?
Do you know the rest of it?
No, I never played that game when I was a kid, but people I
05,
know always
know
that
always
code.
know it. Like when they come, I have it on the play choice at the
Yeah.
house. They always play.
My memory is that there wasn't a Tyson code, but you had to go back one. You had
Yeah.
to do Macho. You had to get through Macho Man
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
time.
But
And it
then
was a
once you
pain.
know, any of
Yeah.
those guys, once you know how to beat them, you can.
No, there's definitely a Mike
You have that
Tyson
at your
code, but the
desks?
problem is when you.
The Mike Tyson code is in the background
in
of
NES
Super
Classic.
Paper Mario as
Yes,
an Easter egg.
which we have
Yeah.
too.
Oh, I was gonna ask if you had a Punch Out cart at your desk.
Yeah,
I want to play Punch Out today.
Yeah,
Is
sweet.
it Mike Tyson?
yeah. I've never owned the other version.
See, I only had the other one. Dude, you have no idea. Again, we talked before about like the four of us grew up in an era before the internet, which is a thing that kids won't know today. Like I had Punch Out and the end boss was Mr. Dream. I went to my friend's house and he had a game called Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And I'm
they made another one?
Yeah, I'm like, they made another one. What the hell is this? And it's all the same people and we're so confused. And we get to the end and you fight Mike Tyson and he looks, and then that's when I realized that Mr. Dream is Mike Tyson, but he's white.
Yeah, White Tyson.
He's white Tyson and he's still got the gap in his teeth. And I like,
That's amazing.
I was like 8, and it blew my mind.
But the difference is Mr. Dream never went to jail.
Yeah.
Mike
in real
Tyson,
life.
right in the boxed version of that game, Mike Tyson has a letter that he writes to you.
Yeah.
He's like, so you want to challenge me? Blah, 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 blah. And then it's like signed Mike Tyson. It's like on his letterhead. Wow. It's really cool.
Such a weird game because Little Mac is like a 7-year-old boy in that game.
Yeah.
And it's just some grown ass men, 4 times the
beating
size,
out- yeah.
beating the
You're a
hell
good
out of
coach.
him, just
Good
really
coach.
pummeling them.
Yeah, really good coach.
Yeah.
Fly
Great
like
game.
a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Great game that I will never finish.
Now is the time on Game Scoop when we play video game 20 questions. Our suggestion this week comes from Steven.
Steven.
We have 20 yes or no questions to guess Steven's game. Let the questioning begin.
Do you collect money in this game? Is there a currency that you earn?
No.
Do you play as a human?
Yes.
Man, Damon really knows this game. That's a good hint right there. Is it before 2000?
Yes.
The two of those clues, the human thing and the money thing, actually kind of work out.
Yeah.
Is it before January 1st, 1990?
Yes.
80s, only 80s kids.
So we know it's not a Mario game.
No, they came
Is
out
it
in the
before
80s.
1985?
Oh,
He
because he
collects
collects
money.
coins.
Yeah.
Is that
Except in
question?
Mario 2,
Yes.
he collects beats.
Sam asks, is it before 1985? Yes.
I think there are coins
That's-
in Mario too.
Is there,
Guys, it's not on NES.
how do you know that?
Before 1985, or it's from a black box game. That
Did
came
you
out.
just ask that?
Yes.
Oh, him and I were too busy goofing over here. Does Mario 2 have coins in it?
got a few.
Yeah, you pull them up as when you go into the
Yeah.
alternate
I only
world, you
remember.
pull
I only remember. You get them.
You
You get
spend
them
them
from
on
the
the slot
reverse world.
machine.
You're right. Yep.
Is that the subworld?
Yeah, the subworld.
Subcon.
But wait, spoilers for Mario
It's
2.
short for subconscious.
But when you finish that
that true?
game,
Yeah, and
the
it's
whole
all a
game
dream.
is a dream. When you finish the game, it's a whole.
Subcon. Subconscious.
But there's also those weird levels inside. So is it a dream in a dream? And is it an Inception?
I've
thing?
never picked up on that before. The subcon in Mario
Yeah.
2 is subconscious.
Sorry,
yeah,
Damon.
they hint from the very start
Okay.
that it's all a dream.
5
Just like
questions in
Mario
here.
3 is a stage play.
You can't get us together. We're just
Don't lose track.
So you asked before 85?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you don't collect money before 85. You play as a human. Could be a text adventure.
yeah,
I don't know why my head's going
is this an
there.
arcade game?
Yes.
Okay, not a text adventure.
Well, we could. Oh yeah, it's definitely not. That would be the worst arcade.
Plays
But all arcade games are ported, so it's not worth asking.
Donkey Kong. Okay, was this game developed in Japan?
Yes.
Okay.
So that eliminates all the Atari.
Donkey Kong doesn't have Mario's in it, but he doesn't have coins.
Yeah, and he's Jumpman technically back then.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, Japanese arcade game, early Japanese arcade game. Could be Taito. I like Nintendo and Sega for this actually.
Should we find out if it's 2-player cooperative? Or two players on screen at the same time?
That's a good one. I was
Yeah,
going to
that's a
ask.
good
Are there two
Previous
players on
weeks.
screen at the same time?
No.
Ooh, okay.
Great.
I like Donkey Kong.
So it's not Double Dragon.
Popeye.
Or,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any of
Is
the, it could be like Jungle King or any of the Taito games.
Is it based off a license?
Yes.
Ooh,
Popeye.
Popeye.
Popeye's a
Nice.
good one. He doesn't collect coins. There's a lot of men in that game. Or two. There's you and Bluto, and then that woman who's
He
also
collects hearts.
a female version
And then he
of the
collects music notes.
I don't.
man. Yes.
I've only played Popeye a couple times in my life.
It's really cool.
Is that the first game Miyamoto designed?
No.
Do you have that arcade
No,
cabinet?
Scott does, and
Yeah.
I worked on it with him.
What-
So I moved it to his apartment.
It's not in his apartment.
It was there.
But where's
before
it
been
now?
bought. It was in my house.
Hold on.
Now it's not. I think it's at his parents. Okay. Is this a Nintendo game?
Yes.
All right.
All
That's
right.
10.
So you
Do you
play
eat spinach in it?
Yeah.
What's that?
Do you eat spinach in it?
Yes.
Oh, man. Nice. Woo. Is it Popeye?
It is.
All right.
Well done. 12 questions. Popeye, released in 1983
That's
in
awesome.
arcades by Nintendo. Also came to the NES, so that could have.
I think we had a good start at the beginning there. The man that doesn't collect coins that limits many games.
Well, yeah, because I'm like, I asked my question as a joke, but then your question, it's like, yeah, there's not that many games where you play as a person that doesn't collect coins.
How stupid is that?
Or like collect money. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like even like GTA or like.
That's
Can you
so-
name another licensed Nintendo game?
Yeah, I was going to say a
one.
rare licensed Nintendo game. It's
real-
Yeah, you do collect
GoldenEye.
hearts and music
Yeah.
notes, but you
GoldenEye.
don't spend them for anything, so I didn't think it would count it as a currency.
Yeah.
Right. So
GoldenEye has that whole
good.
level where
I love that
James
game,
Bond
and
is
I had that
collecting
game
coins.
on NES. That was a really
Yeah, that's right.
That's the sound.
Bluto. You had to. It's basically it's a lot like Mario Brothers actually.
Yeah.
the design of that
Almost
game
exactly
is very
like Mario's.
similar.
And he wanted to make Donkey Kong that was supposed to be a Popeye game.
Yep.
So
yeah,
this ended up being more like the Mario game that came out after that. It's a widescreen game too. Like the monitor is tilted on its side, which was unusual
Yeah.
for the time, and so it's very, very colorful and very nice.
well done. Thank you for the suggestions, Stephen. If you have your own suggestions for Video Game 20 questions, email them to us at gamescoop@ign.com. That is all the scoops we have for this week. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Sam. My name is Damon. This is IGN Gamescoop, and we're out.